Hello. Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of Education Connection, the show where we bring to you conversations about what's going on inside education. Today, we're going to be talking to Mr. Wesley Hall, Clearwater Middle School teacher that teaches English language arts to M1 and M2 students. He's also a member of the system transformation team for the Barclay Institute. Good evening, Wesley.
Evening, Minister. Good evening, everyone.
And we also have Cheryl Wolf, who teaches media comms at Cedar Bridge Academy and is also the S1 year head. She's also a system transformation team member for Cedar Bridge Academy. Welcome, Ms. Wolf.
Good evening, Minister.
Give us a brief overview of what's it like to be the year head. Does it mean that you're in control of all of the S1s? I'm sure there are other people that help you with that.
Yeah, so I have a phenomenal team, which consists of a counselor, myself, the year head, some educational therapists, and also a deputy principal. So it's a really good team. But we basically are responsible for implementing interventions for students, supporting them in any way possible, and ensuring that we are able to give students a chance to be able to just become the best them. And so we see the potential, we grow the potential, we nurture the potential. And so at Cedar Bridge, we have 4 year heads, and each of us are in charge of that year level and ensuring that students are, supported, whether it be for attendance, for academics, or for behavior, or just in general. And so that's what we do.
And thank you for that. So many people don't actually know what goes on in these particular schools. I know Wesley, phenomenal teacher, our previous teacher of the year, I do believe. So congratulations for that. Out of the almost 700 educators that we do have in the system, it's a phenomenal award. Just give us a brief overview of what's it like being in the middle school, because you got that between, so the out of primary school where they literally spend they're in the same classroom all day unless they're leaving for some encore, maybe art, music, and type of thing, to middle school where they're starting to do that transition between classes that they will do exclusively in high school.
That's right. So, middle school is a very interesting area because, as you said, Minister, you're correct. The students are transitioning, so they still have some primary school tendencies that we have to nurture and develop. And at the same time, they're not quite ready for high school as well. So our task is really to ensure that our students are fully prepared when they leave our doors to be able to deal with the interesting time that high school presents them, as well as give them some exploration during those years, bring up the core subjects, and at the same time expose them to the on-core subjects at the same time. So it's a well-rounded experience from that particular level.
Okay. Now, how long have both of you been in the education system?
Well, I've been teaching. This will be my 12th year.
Oh,
and this will be my 5th.
That'll be your 5th. I actually remember Wesley. I'm old enough to know Wesley's better half.
Yes, that's very true, Minister. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, it's it's funny because I really get it what it feels like to be a teacher, because I say jokingly I know Wesley's better half, but I actually know her from when I worked at the youth center, and she was a kid that used to come there and play. And so while I don't look that old, but it's funny to see them. They're grown up now. They're married. They got children. They got careers. And what is that like as a teacher when you actually see one of your ex students and they're excelling and they're doing well? I mean, but there's also the converse side. They're maybe not doing well. They're getting in trouble. But there's still the same type of admiration that you've shaped that life. How would you speak to that, Ms. Wolf?
To be honest, it's a constant reminder of why I do what I do every day. To see students out there, and sadly enough, my students are starting to get married and have children. And so, I haven't gotten to the experience yet of teaching my children's children yet, and I'm sure that's coming very soon. However, just to see them excelling, and at Cedar Bridge Academy, we always say it's where excellence is valued. We cultivate Bermuda's achievers, and so it just solidifies and confirms for me that we are cultivating Bermuda's achievers. So to see them excel and become, it's amazing. It just definitely just solidifies what I do, and it just pushes you to just continue to do what we do every day and get better at it,
Mhm.
as we've been doing for the last couple of days with London First.
Okay. Oh, where's any? Well, you have been around long enough to see students become students, students' children become students.
No, not quite. However, I have had the opportunity to see my students in their high school positions, and it's very gratifying. It definitely inspires you when they come back. In fact, just today we had some students from Cedar Bridge as well as Berkeley just surprise us and walk through the hall screaming my name, Mr. Hall, Mr. Hall. And it was just like it just did something to my heart. Just to even see them just doing what they had to do, doing it to the best of their ability, and know that they left the eagle's nest, so to speak, and now they're soaring high. So it's
Yes, that's.
definitely an inspiring thing.
And what is that logo down there at Clearwater?
Carpe diem, seize the day.
Carpe diem, seize the day. All right, now today we're here talking about the school transformation teams. And so I just want to remind the public before we really get into that, some of the things that are what we are at the process of doing. And the school transformation teams are being formed to help us design what that next, well, what that education reform is going to look like and actually manifest itself within our system. And so when we look for these teams, it is not, well, when I say we, meaning the system is looking for persons to be on those teams. They're not just looking for persons who send their name and email and say, "Hey, I want to do it." As you guys know, it's a process. It's literally an application you fill out, and it involves quite a bit of sacrifice and personal sacrifice to do the types of things that we do. But at the end of the day, it's like what Ms. Wolf said earlier. It's that joy to know that you are teaching that next generation. You're putting things in place that's going to make that next generation as successful as they can be. The object of our education reform is to introduce a system that not only brings equality across the system, but gives our children an opportunity to thrive, opportunity to do the things that they were meant to do, give them the exposure to things that they may not even have thought that they could accomplish. And so they can become leaders in their country as they move forward. And so the people that we select are they're committed. They are the types of people that want to see change. They're the types of people that are willing to sit down in teams, help design that change. And one of the biggest things that surprise people when I talk about this process is what Learning First calls the code. Was it code collaboration? That's not the name; it's some other name they use for it. But that is utilizing everyone's idea to come up with what it is we're going to do as we move forward. So it's not one of those things where we're saying, "Hey, we're going to do A. Now let me teach you how to do A so you can go off and do A." It is, we don't know what we're going to do. Let's talk about it. Let's everybody collaborate. Let's everyone put in there. And I told this story the other day that a teacher had come to me and said, "Hey, after they gone through the process and they come up with, various concepts and stuff, they were like looking and said, wow, that's my idea up there. That's something I said that we should do. And we're going to now teach that." And so that gave them that excitement. And it's that ownership, it's that ability to contribute, it's that ability to, sit down with others and collaborate and come up with the ideas that will strengthen our system and carry our students forward is what we're looking for, and what it is that we want to get when we get these types of teachers. So when I just wanted to move on to the purpose of the induction and the onboarding, I was going to ask Shoa to kind of speak to that of the types of things that we do, and well, what is it? What is that part about? And just elaborate for our listening audience on that.
So that process over the last 3 days or so have been exciting, and enlightening, but it basically gave us a opportunity to be introduced and reacquainted with what Learning First is, and what the school transformation journey really kind of looked like, and have what they've been going through over the last 15 months. and what's going to happen over the next 15 months or whatever the case may be. But it was just getting the excitement going. We were getting re-energized about the possibilities. We definitely had our imaginations were stretched, I must say, because it took me a little bit more to kind of dig in and really stretch my imagination as to exactly what this looks like. But we worked on local case for change, the vision for learning for our schools, and then looking at why we need to change and what we need to do or what we want to achieve over the next few months. We had our skills and capabilities built, particularly looking at like our mindset, the social innovation, looking at design skill sets. And it was a really good experience and a really good journey. And to see how to conduct like empathy based research, user research, and really like most importantly, looking at the surface and the hopes, but looking at the anxieties about as well of the journey ahead. Because obviously, some people have those, they have hopes, we have anxieties, and it was good to kind of talk about that. But it's really definitely been a busy few days.
Mhm.
But my favorite part of it, and I coined it as speed dating. But we were able to actually like go around to each table and get an idea of the work streams that they've been working on for the last couple of months, and really get a picture and be able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and see the big picture. And it really definitely excited me because now I didn't quite understand the fullness of it until I did that speed dating activity, but I really got the fullness of it because
Mhm.
it really kind of got me excited about what each of these students are going to be able to experience with this new reform.
So when you say the speed dating thing, just elaborate a little bit more on that because I was there and I was watching you guys get excited about the speed dating exercise. So give us a little more in depth look at what the speed dating was to accomplish. Who did you pick? Uh,
Well, here's the thing. I probably made that whole speed dating thing come about because it felt like that. Because it was literally, you started out, we had these placemats and these different work streams that you looked at, which gave you an overview of what each of these different work streams worked on. So a work stream looks at various parts of the education or the new reform system or whatever the case may be, and what it looks like and what the plan is for everything. It's like so meticulously planned out. I love it. But we were basically just going around to different tables, and they had presenters at each table that presented to us just an overview of what that work stream looked like. And what I loved about it was that I literally went from one place and then went to another, and I could see the connection. They weren't even at the same tables, but they were talking the same language. And so I was hearing different terms over and over, and I was like, oh, so that's how that connects to that. Okay, I understand how this connects to this. And so once I got that big picture, I told us guys, I'm in, I'm sold, I'm ready to roll for September. Like, let's do this.
all right. September is important. You mentioned that date. September is critically important because we know that's when the signature learning programs at both Cedar Bridge and Berkeley will open. What is there any particular signature that you were involved in, or any of the
Um,
strands?
yeah, so I was involved in the STEM part of things at Cedar Bridge
Mhm.
Academy and specifically creative technology.
Okay. Cool. And I'm an engineer egghead myself, so I was all excited about that. But Wesley, just I don't want to keep you out of this.
Yeah, that's fine.
What this like? What was this like professional learning that you normally undertake? That we normally do with our teachers.
Well, I mean, just to begin with, professional learning on a whole, normally we want it to be interactive and it has to be customized to the needs of the teacher. And so,
Mhm.
pretty much what we're doing is we're trying to encourage teachers, in a sense, to be able to take responsibility for their ownership, for their learning. And that is specifically exactly what this experience was like for us. What I appreciated about it was in the 3 days we had an opportunity to really engage, find out the heart and soul of the matter by looking at like our mindsets, our beliefs, really looking at the capabilities and skills, and even the behaviors and practices that we might encounter along the way. And so it was a lot like pretty much learning how we normally would process, but we're talking about an intense time, really focused on our young people, focused on our children and how they actually will interpret this information as well. So my favorite part, other than the speed dating, which of course that really opened my eyes as well, was just the opportunity to sit around the table with other educators and hear their experience and hear them tell their story. So I'm at middle school and I'm sitting around the table with Barclay teachers who are just hungry to want to educate their students. And in our dialogue, the stories that we get are we're watching the light bulb go off, and I'm being interactive with the students, and I'm allowing them to choose their particular assessment level and their activity. And I'm just like, wow, this is exciting because that's exactly the same conversation we're having at the middle school level. So to hear it, to be in the midst of it, it was very inspiring to say the least. So I that was for me was my favorite part.
All right. So what else? What else was when you were up there? And so how did you decide that you wanted to be a part of this? Well, what motivated you? You know, being in middle school and saying I wanted to be part of helping our senior schools get ready for their signature schools.
Well, for me, to be very honest, being this is a new process for our middle school students, especially for our M3s. I wanted to be almost bridge the gap. Because there's a lot of information that's out there at this particular time that the students may not fully grasp what is going on at that particular level. So I wanted to be involved in ensuring that when our students transition from one to the next, they're actually being able to grasp the understanding, take a hold of the user research that is out there, focus on some of those key factors so that it will enable them to really embrace the process. And so for me, that was really my reason for wanting to be a part of this process.
Okay. Good, good, good. Thank you for that, Wesley. And we appreciate you being part of that. Now, part of the development of what it is that we're going to be doing, factored around use of research. Can you just elaborate a little bit on the user research that went into this?
Sure. So, as far as the user research, we're talking about understanding the user's behaviors, the needs, and the motivations through observing these specific techniques. And we're looking at task analysis and other feedback methodologies. So, in general, like for example, we're looking at user interviews as a series of open ended questions that would allow us to gather information from various sources. And what it does is it prevents the risk of bias. And we are able to get consistent, more rigid, scripted information that we can use to help us along this journey as well. Now, when it comes to the learning from these people and these individuals, what we tend to do is there are a number of different benefits that are involved in it. We're talking about the idea of challenges that are held around assumptions around the need. People feel heard. That's how we felt. And even as educators sitting around the table, we felt that we actually had a voice. And Minister, you even mentioned the fact that when people can see that their ideas are being utilized, it gives them buy-in into the process. It demonstrates the value of their insights and the fact that we're listening to not just one set, but we're listening to a mix of people, and so it gives them that those great ideas and inspires them to want to actually adapt to the process in itself.
Hmm. And so, sure. What about speaking to our stakeholders?
I would say when speaking to stakeholders, and I don't think everybody quite understands that our stakeholders now include Bermuda as a whole. What I kept hearing was education has to be everyone's business.
Yeah.
And that really, really stuck for me because, in the past, it's just been teacher, student, parent, and that's it. But now we're including the entire society into this, because now we have persons and partnerships with those that are outside of just the classroom that can create these beautiful experiences for our students, real world experiences for our students, that is catered to whatever it is they would like to do coming into their future. So those stakeholders now are not just parents, teachers, students, but now it's parents, teachers, students, uncle, cousin, auntie, everybody, businesses, everybody's involved now. And so I think it's a really, really good thing that we are now having that chance to speak to those stakeholders and have everybody involved in creating this new change that definitely is. I'm all
Mhm.
for it. Like, I'm so in now where I understand exactly what it is that we're doing. And I want everybody else to be just as excited, because now we're going to be, creating some really, really great experiences for our students.
Now, you said that it's interesting. You said that you're very, very excited about that. How were you when this first was announced? And we could be honest because we've heard so many. I've heard the
I was
stories.
Minister, I was like, not another something. That's where I was at. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie. And it took me a minute to really understand that, I know that change needed to happen.
Right.
I know that it needed to happen. But I just didn't quite understand what was happening.
Hmm.
And so, when you don't understand something, you're immediately going to be like, "Ugh, this is just, you get a negative vibe, right?" And so I had to then say to myself, okay, show up, pull it together, just like I tell my students, change your mindset, look at it in a different lens, have a positive, outlook on it, and figure it out from there. And so once I got involved in, some of these workshops and, being able to get around the Learning First team, which they are phenomenal, working with other colleagues, I must say one thing I have really, really enjoyed about this is that I've been able to talk to colleagues that I've never talked to before. I talk to those at my school. I might know a few teachers here or there, but I've been able to talk to colleagues at every level and, be able to really have some really good dialogue. But once I really got the full picture of what it is that we are trying to do, as this change has come about, and the redesign and the refocus and the wanting to change the mindset of not just teachers, but of the community as a whole as it relates to education, I definitely, that's where I got excited. And then it was like the light bulb went off, and I was like, okay, I get it. Now, Showa, what are you going to do, and what part are you going to play to, make this change happen? And not just that, to convince others that it's a really, really good initiative. So we just have to get to the point now where people just really dive in and understand. I know there's been plenty of information sessions and all of that happening. And as much as people may feel like, oh, I'm not going to watch that, watch, especially if your children are going through the system. This is something that everyone needs to be invested in.
And thanks. And same question for you, Wesley. When you first joined, what was your impressions? I mean, going in,
Sure.
and how do you feel about that process now?
Sure. No, I was a little different because of I only have about 5 years experience in the classroom. I was more like a deer in headlights because I just wasn't sure what was going on. We've experienced some change, but not probably not as much change as Showa has seen. And so I was kind of like, just okay, here we go. Let's. It seemed like a storm coming was the best way to put it. And so I was very cautious, and I tried to myself just try to gather that information. It's hard though. There was a lot of information that was coming at one particular time, and then you're in the midst of still trying to work, still trying to motivate those around you, and I'm still like I just don't really grasp what's going on. But I believe it was Mr. Naylor
Yeah,
who,
Naylor.
yeah, yeah, from Sands, right? A great guy, and it was on another one of our media outlets, and having this similar conversation, and he had said that in just expressing his fear and now being a part of it and working along with other colleagues, it completely opened the door, like it opened his eyes. And listening to him say that triggered something in me. So to the point where when I saw him a couple weeks ago, I actually stated to him, I appreciated him actually stating that, because his sentiment was like it spoke to me. A lot of times when you're in the midst of something and you're working on something, it's completely different than if you're just sitting in the background watching it happening and observing and listening to some of the comments that are being made and the
Mhm.
fears. So I believe what has helped me is being involved. I feel like I actually have my hand on the pulse of exactly what's going on, to so to speak. Now I can't speak to everything, but I have enough of an understanding to be able to have that buy-in, to believe in what's about to happen. Um, for me, I also come from the parent's perspective. So as a parent, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, you know what, I could actually see this coming to fruition and the opportunities that can afford themselves, which probably were not available before. I mean, it's literally like there's so many different options, and it doesn't start when you hit high school now. It has the opportunity to start right in
Mhm.
primary school, which for me, that right there was a great eye opener. And that was my greatest hope, is that as we go along with the process, that more people lower down, you just say, just give them that experience, let them have a taste, give them that moment to grasp. Maybe they will feel like, you know what, I enjoyed that particular activity and I want to pursue this. But
Mhm.
if we never gave them the opportunity, they would never have that inkling, that inspiration. So that for me was my greatest hope.
You know what? And those are some great stories. It's interesting you keep mentioning Chris Naylor's name. Every time I talk to him, every time I see him out somewhere, every time he has an opportunity to say, he says exactly that. I thought I didn't believe in this when I first started, but I see it. I see it. And so, just piggybacking on that, right? There are still some people out there. There are still some people that don't think this is going to work, right? And what I like to say about Bermudians have a healthy level of skepticism when it comes to change, right? Where we're very loath to change from something that we're familiar with, and we might not even like what we're familiar with, but we're very loath to change to something else because, like, hey, I'd rather be familiar with the one I don't like than do something new and don't like that. And so we working very desperately hard to win mind and hearts of, one by one. You've often heard, you'll hear me say on these shows that I do, these shows, radio shows, it's like, hey, if I'm going to talk to everybody in Bermuda 101, I'll talk to everybody in Bermuda 101. At least I know that they will understand and they will at least know what we're thinking and how we're trying to move forward. So when you hear of people out there, and you're more immersed in this on the day-to-day stuff than I am, when you hear that there are people out there that are saying this won't make a difference, what response would you have for them? Either one of both of you can answer it, but whoever wants to go first can go first.
Oh,
Um,
Come on, man, ladies first.
good. Miss Ruth, go
um,
ahead.
well, well, my response now to them is, well, first of all, I want to know, what do you know?
Hmm.
Because I find that people make these comments, but have you even come to one session? You
Uh,
make the comments, but have you talked to anybody on the team? Like, it's just what you hear on the news, and you say, "Oh, we're gonna change," and then there's negativity from there, as opposed to actually, attending a town meeting, or attending a education, session or something like that, to be able to at least be able to put some things in your toolkit that you understand and you're realizing, okay, this is what's happening, and then have a take on it. But it's just we've gone straight to having a take on it, and I was probably one of them as well. But as I got some things in my toolkit where it was like, okay, I have more information about this now. I understand this now. Oh, that goes with this. Oh, okay, this is what we're trying to do. And all of that started to come together. Then for me, I just want to know, what do you know? And with what you know, what do you understand? And so for me, I would love to help people to understand exactly what's happening here, so that they don't feel that way, but also so that, they're equipped with the information they need to make the I guess, to just kind of shape
Mhm.
what they think about it all. So I think if we don't have information, I can't see how you could speak to it. But if you have information and you have a take on it, then you need to be able to kind of speak to one of the team members and give your feedback. They are very open to feedback. We spent a lot of time this week just giving our feedback, giving our concerns, our comments, our additions to things. They're going to be doing user research where they're going to be talking to people in the community and interviewing them and trying to find out what they think and what they need and all of that. So if a member of the design team or a member of the user research team comes in, approaches you to talk or to speak about it, don't shy away, but give them the information and say, hey, this is, and be honest with them, because it's only going to make it better for the rest of us. So having the information is key.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with you, and it still does, baffle me when I get stopped, and as a politician, people just stop you and want to talk to you, and they still don't truly understand what signature learning program really means, and I had this conversation the other day, and I said, some people like, great, we're having a trades school at Cedar Bridge, and I said, well, hold on. This is not a trade school; it's a signature program. You still got to go up there and learn English, math, science, and social studies. You still got to learn your core curriculum to in order to graduate. But we will be giving you enhanced opportunities for exposure to those things, so you can develop skill sets, you could develop credentials, you could develop certifications and things like that, so you can be proficient in that. And who knows, you may find that something. I'm really into STEAM stuff. I'm really into engineering and math, and I really want to do that. But like you said, Wesley, giving our children that opportunity to be exposed to this is invaluable, right? We have a system. We currently have a system now that not all of our children, but they leave high school and then they're like, okay, well, now what am I going to do? What am I going to study? Well, they get kind of you know, sort of introduction to some things, but they don't get an immersion into it. And so we want to prepare our children to either leave high school and go off to further education or go directly into the workforce at a level that makes them productive, at a level that makes them wanted at the productive in the workforce. So Wesley, same question to you. What do you say to people who would say this is not going to make a difference in our children's in our future graduates?
I actually see it as an opportunity for to really get feedback. Um, and I say this a lot of times when I hear someone approach me, because like you, minister, teachers get approached in the craziest
I'm
places as
sure
well.
they do. I'm sure.
So,
Even more so than me.
listen. So what I tend to do is I do tend to listen, and I want to hear, I guess, their story and their side of things. Exactly why do they feel the way they feel? And I would tell you the majority of times there is a genuine um, concern that sits behind that particular story. And so from there, what I'm able to do is to really get to the nitty gritty about the actual core of it, and then use my expertise based on what we're learning and what we've been exposed to in our signature learning programs to be able to address it in some way, or at least direct them to some sort of resource that may be able to provide further clarification or further answers, as show was stated. Because what I notice happens is, we're human, and change is difficult. And that, for even for me, like I had said earlier, when I first heard about it, there was this stop, like, okay, let me just check and make sure what's going on, how is this going to impact me, and then you start to think about what happened in the past or what's happening now, and you're like, another one, what I'm saying, how is this going to fail, is the first thing we think. um,
Right.
but I tell you what, when I think about that person and that individual that comes with that sort of mindset, like I said, I listen to it, I understand it, I can relate to it. But there is this this innate ability for me to look at the positive and look at the future. I remember, Minister, you even said in your opening remarks to us as educators that, when we come together for the feedback, you're looking for, you're expecting some
Skeptics,
skepticism,
naysayers. I
right?
said naysayers.
Yes, naysayers. And when you said it, you said cautious optimism. That's the phrase that you also used as well. When you said that, for me, it was like you knew that the positive was coming, but you knew that we probably were navigating around it because there may have been some things that needed to be addressed. And I think for me, that's that opportunity that this now provides. We have this thing that is developing, and it's developing rapidly. And for us that are on the inside of it, what we see is we're looking at various points, and we're actually looking at it, not just developing this thing out of thin air, but we're looking at
Mhm.
data. It's data driven. It's connected to our economy. It's connected to those business owners and those out there that have their finger on the pulse, that are saying, listen, we believe that this actually, this is really where we probably should be. And this will actually make it happen and will open the opportunity and the doors for our young people, some of which probably would not have this opportunity now. And so
Mhm.
when you start to look at it from that angle, you know, the more folks will come through and they might say, you know what, I'm not too sure. I don't think it's going to work. I said, well, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I tell you what, this is what I see. And when they say, when you can really look at it from that perspective and look at the positives, look at the fact that we're not there yet, we still have some things that we need to work out, and we're willing to listen, we're willing to be able to get that understanding so that we can make it further. It makes the conversation completely different.
This has been really, really enlightening. And I'm not sure where we are for time, but what I just want to keep going. And when you think of what you've gone through and the types of things that you've done over these, the system transformation team inductions, where do you think, what skill sets have you developed coming out of these? You would say. Wesley, you can
Sure.
go first this time.
Oh, okay, thanks. I appreciate you. Um, for me, I think what I've learned is definitely a greater appreciation for data-driven study and observation, focused on not just the creation of something because it might be a good thing to do, but actually looking at it compared to some real-time understanding as far as where we are as a country. I believe that for me has really strengthened my position and my understanding, even in um, my personal attributes, looking at different things from a data driven perspective. It enhances some of the things that we learn in school, and it actually correlates to what we do in the classroom anyway, that you're not just teaching things based off of what you believe people should learn, but you're looking at it based on a set criteria that this will enhance the student. And the same way we're doing it in the classroom now, we're learning the same way, that we're building on this data driven activity. The other thing that I feel is a strength as well is just this idea that the the voices of the people that are in the midst of it, whether it is the student, whether it is the teacher, whether it is the business person, whether it is the person out on the street or the politician, everybody is sitting around the table having this conversation, and the focus is all the same. There's not too many things that we're working on at this particular time that I can surely say have that kind of impact and have that scope and diversity of people around it. So for me, that is truly inspiring.
Thank you. George, what about you?
Well, Wesley pretty much said it all, but what really, really kind of, like I said, that collaboration piece has been really, really good for me because I've now been able to have the opportunity to collaborate with my colleagues from the primary schools, from the middle schools, and even in the two high schools. So now the for me the pieces are kind of put together a little bit differently, and I would definitely say that that these few days that we've been, and even some of the other sessions I've been in over the last couple of months, have really just been able to kind of open the doors for opportunity, not just for students, not just for teachers, but even now just for the community as a whole, and being able to now just include everybody into this education thing. Like, it's something I've always thought about, but just I'm just now seeing it come together. I'm like, yes, this is where we need to go. So at least now those that own businesses can now get involved in just educating our young people, but not only that, being able to see our young people then enter the workforce and be able to be in their own companies and be able to see their own proteges come up and now work for them. Like, the whole picture, the whole design for me has been great. And like as they say, the data that has been collected over the last few months has really just been able to kind of speak to what Bermuda needs and what the next step is for us as we go through the future for our young people.
Well, I will say from my perspective that the future looks bright. People may not know this, and what's interesting about this journey is, and both of you, and I hear it from not just you but other people that are involved, was, you know, we were like, is this one of those things where we're doing something and we won't follow through and stuff? I want people to know that we've been working on this for 26 months now to get Barkley and Cedar Bridge, to preparation work to lead to Barkley and Cedar Bridge. We've already started working. We inducted new system teams last week that are going to be working on what's going to be happening with the Parish Primary School in Francis Patton Purvis and the next signature school, Hospitality and Tourism and Education Services, last week, and that's a full 15 months before September 2023. So when people say, okay, well, yeah, you're doing this now, but a couple of weeks you'll be gone and stuff. This is sustained because we recognize, and and I see people like who come and say, well, I was skeptical at first, but once we got stuck in, we saw that people were serious about moving forward. And I think that's something that has also played into persons coming on board because they see this isn't a flash in the pan, fly by night sort of thing. This is something all of us are vested in because we have to put our children in the positions to succeed. We have to give them the opportunities to utilize their skill sets to make a difference in Bermuda. Now, I see Omar has told us we're coming to the top of the hour. It's crazy. It doesn't even seem like 42 minutes have went by, and we could sit down and talk about this stuff all day. Like Wesley said, those of us out there that are listening, we want to hear from you. There's room for your voice in this process, and we especially want to hear from the people who are skeptical because they're the people that's actually going to help us sharpen our game. The people who are already convinced, they may not see things that could be issues down the line, but they're skeptics. They're always going to point out something that we now then have an opportunity to face and fix, or address. We may not fix it completely, but we can put things in place to mitigate some of those things. So we want to hear from you. You're free to give us a shout, call us, or at any time you can email us at schooldesign at moed.bm. Send in your information. Visit us on learningfirstbda.com. I don't know if Omar, you could bring that up. School redesign at moed.bm and Learning First, so people can see that when they're watching. They can scribble that down. Visit us on the website. Sign up for the newsletter. Send us your issues, your questions. Download some of those material. School redesign. Omar, not design, redesign, and send us your information, and so we can there we go. So we can get to know you. You can get involved. You can be this voice. You'll often hear me say, we're talking about, especially when it comes to our external partners, we're talking to the guys in the C-suite down on Pitts Bay Road running the reinsurance companies, to the guy doing his plumbing business on the back of his moped. We want to speak to all of you because Bermuda needs all of our graduates. We graduate just in the public school just around 300 children per year, right? And we need all of them to be successful, for Bermuda to be successful. We don't have the luxury of just a few of them making it. All of them need to make it. So this is why we're doing what we're doing. So I just want to thank you, Ms. Wolf. I want to thank you, Mr. Hill, for lending your time, and especially thank you to your families for letting you go for this time. I just wanted to do some advertisement, let people know that we have a town hall meeting coming up similar to this. We will be at Bermuda College. It'll be broadcast. We also have space there for audience to come ask us questions. Myself will be there with members of the education reform team. Will be there. We also have the workshops going on, the signature learning program immersions that are happening right now with Cedar Bridge and Berkeley. We also have the system transformation teams going on, as I mentioned, that are talking about what's going to be happening in September 2023. Moving on, I also want to take this time, it's a special time of the year for you teachers, and there's these leaving ceremonies. I want to say congratulations to today we had Ward Preschool, Francis Patton, and Northlands Primary having their leaving ceremonies. Tomorrow we will have Gilbert Institute, Lagoon Park Preschool, Lyceum Preschool, St. Paul's Preschool, and Southampton Preschool having their leaving ceremonies tomorrow. Of course, next week we'll have some more. So I know I sent out a tweet today with the dates, times, and locations of every school in Bermuda's leaving ceremony. So if you follow me on Twitter, that's Omar, that's D Rabane on Twitter, Diallo Rabane on Twitter. If you're following me on Twitter, you'll be able to see that list. I implore you, Bermuda, go and celebrate our children. Help them celebrate. Even if you just pick up the phone, call the school, say, I just want to say congratulations. You want to send a gift, drop a gift off. I know with COVID, we're not, it's not as completely open as it was before, but our children deserve to be celebrated at all times. And this is the first year where they're probably going to have, they're going to have these, leaving ceremonies that will be relatively similar to what our children should have. So I encourage you, look at that list, and if someone's in your area, who knows, you drop off some drinks, drop off some water, drop off some candy, or send a balloon that says congratulations. Just let our children know that Bermuda cares about them. Lastly, I want to say congratulations to our Father of the Year award winners. We announced those yesterday with Mr. His first name escapes me, and he's good. Everybody will kill me, but the young man from Whitney in M1 was our overall winner. We did have 5 winners throughout. Each one of them got a Chromebook to keep, not to use and then give back, but to keep. But the overall winner also got an iPhone 13 Ultra from Digicel, and all of them also got gift certificates for dinners at Rose's Cantina. And so that's the village looking out for our children. So when I reached out and said, hey guys, please. Also, I didn't mention Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is the title sponsor, and they're the ones that donated the 5 Chromebooks that we gave out. To you, Wesley, happy Father's Day. To both you, Wesley, and Shoa, have a safe and wonderful weekend, the holiday weekend. Enjoy your time off on Monday, because Tuesday we're coming back fresh, and up to doing all the things we need to do. For Bermuda, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you. We'll see you here again in 2 weeks' time, where we'll have another episode of Education Connection. And I just look forward to seeing you. And again, thank you, Bermuda, for all that you do for our children. Thank you, teachers, for all that you do for our children. And thank you, especially Ms. Wolf and Mr. Hill, for being on the show with us. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa.
All right.